Welcome to another episode of the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lainey.
And we have a very special episode for you this week. First of all, it's our 20th episode ever, which is pretty awesome. Milestone moment for us. Yay. But also we have our very first guest on to our podcast, and that is none other than Pastor Ron Cooney. Pastor Ron Cooney serves as the executive pastor at Calvary Church, and we're going to be talking to him today about the intersection of the church and the world of foster care and adoption. So we are excited for today's episode. Let's dive in. Welcome to Unprofessional Parenting. We're your hosts, Matt and Lainey.
I'm Lainey, a licensed clinical social worker with over a decade of experience working in child welfare.
And I'm Matt, with more than 10 years working in church ministry. And together, we're foster and adoptive parents who know firsthand that parenting is anything but perfect.
We're here to laugh, learn, and share the real side of raising foster and adoptive kids. Parenting isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up even when you feel completely unprofessional at it.
So let's get into today's conversation. Well, like I mentioned before, we have a very special guest here, Pastor Ron Cooney. Ron, how are you feeling today?
Nervous.
Do you mind if I call?
You feel nervous?
Why are you nervous?
Because I've seen some of your episodes and I know what you guys do to each other. So,
Are you a subscriber?
and I'm the first guest, so I don't know exactly what to.
You're setting the tone for all other guests. They will look at this episode and be like, "What do I need to do?" And this is exactly it. All right.
Okay.
Don't feel nervous.
No.
It's great. It's great.
Set the bar low,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then everything after that is
One of my
excellent.
goals in life. Set the
Yeah.
bar low.
Set the bar low. That's perfect. Well, Lainey and Ron, do you mind if I call you Ron in this podcast?
Please call me
Pastor
Ron.
Ron. Okay.
Yeah, just Ron.
Okay, Ron.
Just
You guys have a past together in ministry and in the church, right? How long does that stem from? How long have you guys known each other?
I've known Lainey since she was in middle school, and actually even beyond that, but like elementary school. But really got to know her when she was in about 7th grade, I think.
Seventh
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah.
From your perspective, is that right?
Yeah. Ron was my student pastor
Wow.
growing up,
Yes, I was.
And now you're grown up
and
ish.
now he's my boss.
But even before that, I worked at the Christian school that you went to in middle school.
Right.
And so I was Mr. Cooney.
Yeah, but you were
Then-
not my teacher.
That's right, because
Yeah.
I left. I saw you coming up.
You saw
and I
me
was like,
going into
I'm
7th
out.
grade, and you were like, "Gotta go."
I'm done.
I need to find a different line of work here.
And then became, yes, your student pastor, and that was good times.
Yeah, yeah.
What was middle school Lainey like? Just set it up for 30 seconds.
Let the people
Cheerleader, bubbly. She was
Just like she is now,
I know, a
cheery
lot,
and bubbly.
Yes, yeah. So she's like, yeah. So she was one of the. I think you were confident, walked around, confidently, which you still do that, and so I thought that girl's she's going to accomplish some things in life, and here we are.
Wow.
She has her own podcast.
Wow, she does have her own podcast. This is her podcast. I have nothing to do with it. I just sit here,
personal
producer.
ask the questions. That's it.
Oh,
Perfect.
yeah.
I'm glad you have such a platform, Lee. That's great.
Yeah. Well, and then after, once I became an adult, which is weird,
Right.
that shift of, I mean, I haven't ever had to experience this yet. I'm too young, but the shift of knowing someone as a child and then knowing them as an adult and a colleague almost.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
yes.
like, man,
Not
I-
equals, but still.
I was part of the formation of your development, and now we're running alongside each other for the same goals and
And we've been doing
initiatives and
like
stuff.
on this stuff that we're talking about here today, like this. I mean, we've been running this race for a while now, and
Yeah.
it's been exciting to see what God's done in the two of your lives, and then the greater work that we're doing around here.
Yeah.
That's good.
We
Well,
appreciate
tell us your background in the foster care / adoption world. Like, why is this something you're passionate about? How are you connected to it and all that stuff?
So originally, my wife and I got involved in foster care. Our first goal, we were going through classes because we were interested in adopting, and then there was something said in the very first meeting of what was then they were called MAP classes. So we're in that first meeting, and the presenter said something that kind of stopped me in my tracks and got me thinking about foster care because she said, how many of you are here because you're interested in becoming foster parents? And I would say probably half the room raised their hands. And then how many of you are interested in adopting? And half of us raised our hands. And she said, okay, let me just talk to you about this for a minute. And she said, how many of you have your own children? Several of us had our own children. We had 2 at the time. And she said, you do understand that you have your children for a certain amount of time. You don't have your children forever because they don't stay children. They grow up, they become adults, just like you said. Right. And she said, so whether it is 18 years, or 18 months, or 18 days, you have a certain set time that you have with your kids. And so you should consider foster care. Well, my wife was already on board, and I'm kind of a slow adopter. And so I but that statement stopped me. And then that's what the Lord used to soften my heart towards this idea. Because I, like a lot of parents that I've heard since that time, would say, I just couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Just can't do it.
Like what piece do you think prevents families from feeling like they can't do it?
Well, for me, it was, I can't do it because I can't love a child like my own and then have that child taken, like they were mine, taken back from me.
Right.
And so in my mind, that was the roadblock. And it paralyzed me to like allowing me to like open up my heart to the reality of like, hey, foster care. And to be honest, I thought foster parents were weird.
Wow.
We are.
In a sense, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are a couple screws loose for us to have to
do
this.
You have to be a little weird, right?
I kind of feel like, it's like the Marines, you have to have like be a Marine, like
Certain
you're different,
person.
right? And it's like to be a foster parent, to me, it's like you're committing to something that is hard. And, but you embrace that and you do it anyway. And that's not for everybody. And I understand that. I understand that. But as somebody who was not willing to make that, like open myself up to that commitment on the front end, and as somebody who has done it and gone through it, I'm so grateful, that the Lord has allowed me to do.
Yeah. What did it take for you to kind of get over that thought process of the immediate vulnerability and then the maybe the feeling of loss if someone gets reunified from your home?
That statement that she made, I literally turned to my wife and I said, okay.
Yeah.
It was that statement.
It was that.
I literally turned to her and I said,
let's do it.
Okay, I yield. And we then began that journey, and the Lord began to do a work in my heart because it's not about me. I mean, we don't need to be doing all that, but
Sure.
try not to get emotional, but just like these kids need a father figure, a mother figure to love them, to care for them in their greatest time of need. And I can't make that moment about me.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
That's a good word. So talk about your foster journey. So you're going through those classes, get licensed, you're a licensed foster parent.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what did that look like? What kind of like roads, pathways did that take you down?
I mean, it was first of all, the journey is not easy. So like that, the journey to becoming a foster parent, like it's a process, and it's because they don't want to just place a child with anybody. The state has to know, like, if we're going to take these children away from their biological setting, and we're going to place them with another family, we have to know that child's going to be safe. Yeah. So don't treat that like it's such an inconvenience, I would say, to people going through that process, or considering opening yourself up to it. Like, we need to know that these children are going to be placed in a safe home. So they're going to do everything. That's called due diligence. Like, you get it. Right. It's a process. So it was a long process. And then the day came. We had just taken a family vacation, and we knew we were coming home, and we were going to have a child placed with us. And I wasn't exactly prepared for how that child placement was going to work. I kind of thought, hey, we have a child we'd like to place into your home. And it didn't work out that way for us. And so there was a group home situation, and there was a child that was in there, and so they said, you can pick this child if you want, and that felt weird to me. That felt unnatural. Like it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
Which I think it shouldn't be like this still. Like it shouldn't be like that. And so we went and picked our little boy up, and he had spaghetti all over his face. He had just finished dinner, and they weren't ready for us. And not only did he have spaghetti all over his face, sauce all up in his hair, but it was also all over the floor.
Yes.
And so I was asking the person who was attending to him. I was like, oh man, sorry, we came in wrong. Maybe we should have let you guys know. I thought we did let you know we were coming, and I don't feel like we're early. But she said, oh, it's okay, it's no problem. We're just finishing up with dinner time, and he lets us know that he's done with dinner by putting it on the floor. Isn't that cute?
Nice.
And I thought,
oh, cute. Yes.
I was like, that is not the word that I would have used to describe this situation, but it's cool. And she goes, we'll get him cleaned up. And so I'm looking at my wife, and I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And
because you're like, that spaghetti's about to be on our floor at our house, and then we're cleaning it up.
No, that's not how we announce we're done. Right. So then she goes and gets him ready, and she gives him to us, and literally, as she's handing him to me, she says, it looks like he's got pink eye, but I'm not sure. So you may want to get that checked out. And then she handed us two Publix bags. They had like a nebulizer treatment in there, and the medicine, and like 4 or 5 Tootsie Rolls. And that's all he had in the clothes that he was wearing. That's what we had.
Wow.
And so we went to urgent care, and he did indeed have pink eye.
Oh my
so
gosh.
that's how we started.
It's like an initiation. I think all of our kids have.
I mean, welcome to foster care.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right on brand,
Right.
really.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to pivot a little bit towards the church side of this. So personally, you had your personal experiences that obviously opened your eyes to a whole new world of sorts. And it's one of those things, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Correct.
Right. So what did you do with that? Because I know some of this story. So I am kind of like leading you into this, but I know the story behind you starting to realize that this is something the church needed to care about. Like it couldn't just be you and your family caring about this. And then your prayer for the church. And so talk a little bit about what that time was and season for you, and what you were hoping for and praying for within the church.
Sure. That's a good question. The journey with foster care began in about 2012. Fast forward 6 years later, it's 2018. And I had been serving on the lead agency's advisory council for our area. And so I had been doing that for a couple of years at that point. And in 2018, a local news station here posted a story. It's about a 3 or 4 minute segment. You can still find it online. And so I'm watching the news as they're telling this story about how the system is keeping kids in cars at Wawa gas stations. And it was at the end of the segment. So they're basically drawing attention to like a real scenario. Like they're teenagers that are in the system. They didn't really explain why are these kids there. They even presented it as a potential abusive situation that the system is abusing them. And it was hard to watch. Like you're watching that. It's like, I'm on this advisory council for this agency. And at the end of the segment, there are 3 news broadcasters. They're 3 together, one standing and 2 are sitting at a desk. And the question is asked, like, what now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay, so we drew attention to this, but like, how are these kids going to get help? And there's like, you're on air dead silence.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No one
They're
had an
all
answer.
looking at each other.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's only probably a second and a half, maybe.
You can feel it though.
But you could feel that moment of like, hey, you shed light on something that you don't have an answer for.
Yeah.
And it was, for me, let's say it was a second of silence. That second is what helped me to see this is not their problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not the lead agency's problem. It's also not biological family's problem. It's also not a community problem. It is all of those things, but this is a problem for the church.
Mm-hmm.
And that second of silence was where the church needed to step in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Lord used for me to see. Are you going to shed light on this?
Mm.
And that's where, for me, my heart began to get wrecked for not just these kids growing up and needing a system that was serving them well, but the body of Christ needed to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sleeping on an issue that, like, listen, the body of Christ is sleeping just fine.
Mm. Yeah.
They were going to bed, you know, they were
Yeah.
getting up, they were living their lives. Their families are, you know, they're just going through, you know, their challenges, yes, or whatever. But I know, like, I talked to the people who were responsible for placing these children,
Mm-hmm.
who were receiving kids into the care at 11:30 at night,
Mm-hmm.
and frantically calling eligible foster families,
Yeah.
like, hey, can we place this child with you? Well, they don't really fit our description. We're looking, you know, we were in this age range, and it's like, you're literally overwhelmed by the need.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, the church
Yeah.
is just fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, it was 2018. I have to do something here. I can't just, like, sit here
Mm-hmm.
and like be involved myself. No, but I don't speak for the body of Christ, but I do represent it because I'm a member of the body of Christ, and I need to draw attention to the other members of the body and that's why I love what you guys are doing.
Right. So what did, you know, that moment hit you like a ton of bricks, that silence that seemed like an eternity probably for you.
Yeah.
What from there was, I mean, obviously your thought was like, this is the church problem. What is your, I mean, Lainey mentioned it earlier, but did you have a specific prayer in mind, or did you say something in that moment or think something in that moment that was like, this is what we got to do?
Well, at that time, yeah. So at that time, our church is going through what we call our X150 vision. So at Calvary, and just, you know, real short for your listeners, like, the X150 vision is to plant 150 churches, and at that time it was to raise up 150 champions, that people who called ministry or become church leaders, missionaries, church planners, pastors, whatever. And so we were at a staff retreat where we were kind of laying out, like, hey, so what are the 3 big initiatives over the next 3 years that we're going to be focused on? Well, we had the churches, like, that was clear. This is 2019. We had the champions, like, we need to invest and develop and
Next generation,
the next generation and future leaders. You know, that third block was empty, and it was like, and I remember our executive pastor at the time was like, hey, does anybody want to take a shot? Like, literally, that was how he phrased the question. And
Sounds about right for him.
So, no doubt, you know, and so that's I'm great. Sitting there and I'm thinking, I've been in this journey, you know, now for 6 years. My heart's been wrecked for this. It's what Bill Hybels would call holy discontent. He wrote a book on it, and I was frustrated back in 2008 reading that book, and I got to the end of the book and I was like, I don't have a holy discontent. I was frustrated with myself, and then here I am a decade later. Yeah. My heart is absolutely
discontent that you don't have discontent.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I'm like, I don't have this thing that keeps me up.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was like, this is it. So I stood up and I said, I'll take a shot at it. And then, you know, I shared my heart, my vision, my prayer would be that literally that it was at one of the dinners that we would later have, where my prayer was, God, would you allow me to be a part of waking up the church in the Tampa Bay area to this need, and that we might see the body of Christ, not just addressing the need, but fulfilling that need in every way, from case management to foster families to how we're helping biological families to raising up these children who, yes, they were removed from their homes, but giving them hope, loving them the way that Christ loved the church, and giving them direction and hope that there could be a better day in the future for them. And that's what I've kind of given my, all my spare time. And then some is kind of spent.
How much spare time do you?
I try to make it.
Yeah.
I try to make it. Yeah. I got enough.
So what would you say to people who listen to this? Because we do have a lot of people that are not believers, that are not part of the church. There's even some who are very critical of our stance in this, coming from it, trying to address the issue with the lens of the gospel. So to those people who say, what a joke that you're trying to get the church involved in this, because I see a church on every corner in this country, and we have foster children and children experiencing trauma all over the place. I mean, this is a crisis. So what do we, those of us who are advocating in this space, what is our response back to that critique? Because I think it's an extremely valid critique that, hey, I'm looking around. You guys say you care about the unborn. You say you care about the born. You talk about being pro-life all the time and just all the hot topics that come up on the internet and social media. And then they say, you say you care about these things, but churches are everywhere, and foster children without homes are also everywhere.
Yeah. Number one, I agree with you. I think, okay, you got an excellent point. I'm not interested in taking shots back at you because you are, you feel like that there's a bone to pick with the church. I agree with you. That's part of why I was so burdened, is because that's a problem. That's a glaring, obvious weakness that needs to be addressed. The thing I would just say is when somebody who doesn't have a relationship with Jesus finds it in their heart to want to be involved in this space.
Yeah.
I
tell them.
Great. The space that I work in is that we have a mandate. You found it in your heart to get involved without the mandate. I think that's amazing. Honestly, I applaud you. That is, to me, an absolutely amazing thing. I would argue that God put that in you, but I don't need to argue that. That's fine. But the church has a mandate to care for the orphaned and the widowed. The James talks about how this is true and undefiled religion. It's this is what should the church be about? You don't have to guess.
Yeah.
There is we should be about the gospel. We should be about making disciples. We do all of those things, but you also better be about the orphan and the widowed. And so for me, because of the mandate exists, listen, don't be mad or frustrated with us, or you can be if you want to, but we're trying to fulfill a mandate. And in my opinion, if I have a bone to pick, it's probably the same bone that you have to pick. I got a problem with the church too. Wake up.
We're on the same team here.
I actually agree with you wholeheartedly. There are churches all over the place. And if I don't know, what is it? If one person from every church in America would open up their home to adopt a child that needs to be adopted right now, there would no longer be a list of children waiting to be adopted. So my bone to pick is the same as yours. My reasoning might be a little different. And listen, if you don't, as a non-believer, you don't believe these things, I don't want to spend my time looking at the things that we don't agree on. Here we both agree that we got to serve these kids, and in the space that I work in, where I think I can be the most effective and helpful, is to work with the church, to work with them to wake up and to address this need. But I agree with you. I don't have a problem with you. So we can be friends.
You hear that? Yeah.
We can be friends.
Well, since you've been working in that, was this initiative added? 2018? Is that what you said?
Yes.
So since
2019, actually. Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
So since 2019, once Calvary as a church started really focusing on this, have you seen a difference in our local foster care system?
Yeah.
Have you seen a difference in our church body? And what are those things? Do you think it's positive? Do you think it's negative? Like what has happened?
Right. Have you seen any answer to that prayer that you voiced? Like, have you seen?
Well, man, it's amazing, to see the progress that's been made, knowing that there's still, ground to be gained.
Yeah.
But since 2019, I'll start with a change in our church. I remember I had the opportunity to preach where I shared a little bit of my story and how two of our kids came into our home, and I shared that story with the church, and that really began to open the door for, I guess, a greater voice to be able to share with others in the church about their need to be involved. And so, was grateful for that. But in the time that we have made this an initiative, Calvary is obviously, our people have been a part of helping to serve a number of children. It's like over 140 kids at this point. And then a ton more through guardian ad litem. Like there are different ways to serve, but through foster care and adoption, like these are the tangible ways. I've seen our heart as a church soften, not towards the kids, because I think the heart was always, but there's a difference between, man, I feel really bad for that kid, and then actually having compassion that then
to movement
that moves you to take action.
Yeah.
So like pity is, and it's too bad you feel that way. Like you really, like I feel bad for you, but I don't feel bad enough to like do anything about it.
Right.
So I've seen the heart of our church turn from pity to actual compassion, to where I'm going to do everything I can to stop that pain that you're feeling. I'm going to step in. And that's been remarkable to see. People in our church get involved, becoming foster parents, adopting, becoming guardian ad litems, becoming a part of care teams of taking care of foster families. Like our small groups have a wonderful way of ministering to those who are involved in foster care and adoption. You just see them like really take that taking root. But in the community as a whole, like there were some leadership challenges. And there was a turnover of responsibility from one lead agency to another. And in the last 3 years, you can't argue with what has happened. And while it's the system of care, number one, thank God that there is a system of care.
Yes.
Okay, so like in most parts of the world, a system of care doesn't exist.
Yep.
I have been to many of those places, and I have seen those children living on the streets, trying to cope and deal with their hunger pains or like absence of family. It is
because
unbelievable.
Without a system of care, those children are literally then caring for themselves.
That's right.
Once they are orphaned.
And I've met those children. I've talked to those children, and it is it just makes you grateful that we have a system of care. And I used to reference the system of care as like as broken as it might be. I don't use that language, even when in my heart, I guess I still felt it was broken. It was like, that's not a way to represent this thing. Like it is a system of care, and it has challenges, just like I have a family and I have challenges in my family, or I have a job and I have challenges in my job. Yeah. Like there are problems to solve. Like we're working on stuff.
That's good.
And so here we are in the system of care. In the last 3 years, we've seen the number of removals decrease dramatically. We're serving more children in their home. So in their biological context, there's greater service and greater opportunities for those families to get resources that they don't otherwise have had access to.
Right.
And so now they do. And then in the number of kids that are being removed, and they are in out of placement care, they aren't staying in that out of placement care as long as they were. So those are all trends that are trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
The number of removals is down. The number of families that are being served biologically is being, that number is increasing, which we love to see. And then the number of kids who are exiting the system of care, out of home care, that number is increasing. Like you're seeing kids not staying in the system as long as they were staying.
Yeah.
This is all remarkable progress.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing progress. Now, you may not be somebody who affiliates with a church and calls on Jesus for salvation. And so you don't want to give the church credit. Fine. That's fine. I just want these kids to get served. I want them to be taken care of. And I do personally think that the best scenario for any child is to grow up in a Christ-centered, Christ-loving environment. I believe that. Like it's a part of the core of who I am. But do I believe that there are other ways to gain access to love and security in another setting? I do. I also acknowledge that that there is a place for that, and I still believe that the best place a child can grow up is with their biological mom and dad.
Yeah, us too.
And I can believe all those things at the same time.
Yeah,
Right.
That's good.
That is good.
I love that. Well, just from us personally, I mean, I can tell you just from our story, being foster parents, licensed for 5-ish plus years now.
5.5.
Yeah, it kind of falling in line with the initiative of Calvary Church, the church that we attend and we work for, and just feeling the wraparound support that we've gotten from start to finish in every facet of our foster care journey has been incredible. It's been incredible. And I will tell anybody in our system, in our network, that the reason why we are able to be foster parents, the reason why we're able to be adoptive parents is because of the support systems that we have. One being our church. So, so just from, your prayer to us living that out personally in our own lives, we've seen just that work out, and we've seen God move in an incredible way through that. So we're really thankful for that.
Oh, yeah.
Very thankful for that.
Well, and I credit prayers, since we're talking about it so much, and it seems to be the theme of kind of what pivoted the change in our area specifically. I credit prayer as to so much of the good, healthy collaboration that's happening right now that we're seeing between our lead agency, aka the government. So in Florida, we have a privatized system, which means that nonprofits, the government contracts nonprofits to run each little area, each circuit within Florida. So our lead agency that is contracted through the government obviously is not a Christian agency. This is not a faith-based agency in any way. It's completely secular. And I think I would say a lot of the people that are sitting in the rooms in these meetings are also non-believers, not Christians. But the collaboration that is happening between those individuals and organizations and those of us in the church is very, very encouraging to see. To see us all sitting around the table, we as the church are looking at them for the laws and the regulations and the processes. I think that it's really important. And I don't know if you would agree, maybe you disagree. I don't know. I don't know your opinion on this. But personally, I believe that the church should, if the government is, of course, doing it in a healthy way, respect the processes and the laws and the regulations that they have in place for the foster care system, right? Like, we as the church are not just going to go to a biological family and think that something wrong is happening and take that child. It's not our place.
Right.
But what we can do is come behind the government in that process and support them and make sure that child and family is taken care of.
Step in the gap.
On the back end, right. And likewise, what I have seen is the government agency respecting and valuing the voice of the church and the participation of the church and inviting the church into this space to say, come collaborate with us, come support us, which I think I just credit the whole thing to prayer, truly. I believe it's the prayer of the church that has brought about this really peaceful teamwork in I would say the state of Florida. I mean, I know in the Tampa Bay area specifically, but I really think it's statewide. I was talking to somebody who is from up north, a different state, and I was kind of explaining to her this thing we've got going on here in this area, and she was blown away. She said, "My gosh, our state government doesn't care about partnering with the church at all. Like, it's two totally separate entities." So I think just the power of prayer is so underestimated, but also so important.
So when you say that, like, I was thinking about the transition when the new lead agency came in. So we're in that transition, and really, honestly, at that point, our advisory council, like, we kind of lost a sense of our purpose. Like, what we're trying to figure out, what are we doing here? And it was hard to lean in because you weren't sure. I didn't realize at that time that the contract was ending, and so when we learned that the contract wasn't going to be renewed, and we were waiting for somebody,
A new agency.
Please,
just anybody, and
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm going, who would do this? Like, who would say, okay, yeah, we'll go down there and help try to figure this
address a
out?
crisis.
The crisis was
Right.
It was a
massive.
serious crisis, and you have case managers whose caseloads were 40, 50, 60 like, that's impossible.
Can't do it.
You
Yeah, you
it's
can't do it.
impossible to manage that. And so, like, like 2 or 3 times a normal caseload, and most of them had been a case manager for about 4 minutes.
Yep.
Like, it had been less than 6 months. So it was a very difficult time. I want to say it was a mess. It was a mess. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. But when we learned that a new agency was coming, they're up in Jacksonville, and so we're like, okay, I don't know if we should say their names, but new agency. So Family Sports Services, who took it for Pinellas and Pasco. So when I learned that, hey, I just called their office. I had no idea.
Did you really?
I just
Cold
called.
call.
I was like, I don't know who these people are. They don't know me, but I just felt like I've got a call to say, hey, you've got people here that want to help.
Yeah.
And so I called, and I talked to somebody who actually helps lead our advisory council, and I just said, hey, listen, I just need you to know, you've got people here that are ready to go to work. Like, we're ready. Like, we want to help, and I know how this works. Where in the system of care, when something goes wrong, because usually when something goes wrong, it's on the news.
Yeah.
The police get involved.
Right.
A child gets hurt. Like, it's not like light stuff. It's serious.
Right.
So the tendency to point fingers is real.
Yeah.
So-and-so's blaming so-and-so, and another person's blaming another person. This agency's blaming this agency. And so the first conversation I had, I said, I just need you to know, like, I don't even know if this matters to you, but I go to Calvary Church. We have been a part of this advisory council, and I want you to know, like, our hands are open, and we're saying that we are here to help in any way that we can.
Yeah.
Later, it was a few months later, we ended up hosting DCF. They came down from Tallahassee and were part of a meeting. The secretary was there. And I talked to Secretary Harrison. I said, hey, I want you to know, and I want this group to know, that we are not here. Like, I don't know who's pointing fingers at who. That's not why we're here. We're here as a church. We are here to accept the blame. We're not pointing fingers. We are saying, this happened on our watch,
Yeah.
and it is on us. So for the
good.
body of Christ,
Yeah.
I'm here in the Tampa Bay area, specifically in Pinellas and Pasco County, I'm saying we're pointing the finger at ourselves, and we're telling you now that we want to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
if you need somebody to blame, point the finger at us.
Yeah.
And now we want to be a part of the solution. Sorry, we're late to this thing.
Yeah. How was that accepted?
Oh my word. It was received so well because I guess you become accustomed to just shifting the blame.
Yeah.
And just, and instead of somebody being willing to take the responsibility. And I know easy to take responsibility when you're like like you're not directly responsible
Yeah,
for these
yeah, yeah.
things and yet at the same time, I meant that literally. Like this happened on our watch. And I, by the way, was a part of it. I was sleep into this whole thing. And so now we're awakened to it. Shame on me. You know, the mandate has always been there. I should have seen it. I should have known it. Other churches, I know they're busy. They have a lot of things going on, but you have a lot of excuses for why you don't want to get involved. And one of them may be, well, that's the government. And, you know, it's like they got a specific way of doing things and they would do this. And it's like, it's not a government problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a church problem.
Yeah.
It's an us problem. We have to figure out how to work within the system that has been given to us, because there's also a mandate of like honoring and obeying your authority, your legal authority. So we honor the government. We recognize how important their place is, and we want to serve them to the best of our ability. And that's why I talk about like the best way that I can serve the system of care is to work not with like the faith-based community, but the like born again, Bible believing, Bible teaching. That's my space. I know not every space is mine. This is my space. This is where I think I need to sound the alarm. And I'll continue doing that until there's not an issue or until the Lord calls me home.
So great segue, maybe to finish kind of this conversation. But so we're on a podcast, people watching, somebody's there and saying, man, I wish my church could do more. I wish my church could get that first step, or maybe there's something hindering my church from getting into the foster care game. What would you say would be a great first step for somebody to, maybe a congregant or even a staff member who's listening and saying like, I want to do that. I want my church to wake up. I want us to address the crisis and problem in our area. What would you say?
Yeah, I would warn you if you're watching, be careful, because listen, you're number one, don't expect it to be easy.
Yeah.
Don't expect this thing to be like a walk in the park, like you're going to say something magical and then everything is going to people are going to wake up to this. The reality is when we were at that staff retreat and I had there was the moment, well, there was probably 10,000 moments that led up to that moment.
Yeah.
How many conversations, how many tears were shed in order to get the church to that place. And by the way, not just me, dozens of people in our church, all in their own spaces, in their own ways, like wrestling with the same thing. There were people that were on board with this way before I was. Maybe it goes back 2, 3, 4 decades. And it's like, I don't know, but it's like, just recognize you're a part of something bigger than you. Not everybody is going to share your passion. You also need to be okay with that. And when you have an initial conversation, you need to understand that it will probably be seen as like another thing that I got to do. So what you need to do is prayerfully consider, how do I present this in such a way that it is not, I'm adding something to your plate. No, I'm doing something about it. So your first step is probably not telling others what they should be doing.
Right.
Your first step is probably figuring out what you need to do. And that, by the way, you're the hardest person to lead.
There might be one person in this room that has those steps backwards. I don't know. We're not going to name any names, but I'm just messing with you.
Listen, I'm always going to do the work.
You're willing to put
most
it
of the
in.
time.
You're willing.
That's a great word. That's a great word. Well, we've enjoyed having you on this,
I appreciate
on the show. I really appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us. Very first guest, episode 20 of the Unprofessional Parenting podcast. It's been great. It's been great.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I hope that the future guests don't trip over the low bar that I said. So we'll see.
You were great.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And seriously, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And for any of you guys who are listening out there, we encourage you to like and subscribe to our content if you enjoyed conversations like this. We will see you on the next time of the Unprofessional Parenting podcast. This has been Matt
And Lainey.
and Ron saying we'll see you next time.